I know one thing's for sure. We're all looking at Virginia. We're all looking at Virginia like some sort of Miss Cleo, the South Florida, the psychic. Yes, I tried to do a Jamaican accent that sounds like an Italian. Miss Cleo's a pizzeria. It's me, a Miss Cleo. No, that's... No, Miss Cleo from Jamaica, man. Yes, when I was a kid, Miss Cleo would come on. You call 1-800 Miss Cleo. I read your fortune for you, man. Yes, that is what Miss Cleo would do. And Virginia is Miss Cleo. She is the United States, the world's Mrs. Cleo. Yeah. She's going to tell us, Virginia, that beautiful, beautiful, lovely state, Virginia, she's going to put on her red dress. She has to put on her red dress tomorrow, folks. Tuesday. All right. You might be listening to this. It might be Tuesday today for you. All right. This is coming out Monday night. But Tuesday, she's got to put on her red dress and dance the night away. Plain and simple, folks. Plain and simple. She's got to dance the night away because Glenn Youngkin needs to win Tuesday for the right. 100%. Plain and simple. Glenn Youngkin needs to win Virginia on Tuesday for us. It's hard to say his name together. Glenn Youngkin. You have to take a pause. You have to go, Glenn Youngkin. Right? It's like when somebody goes, knock, knock. Who's there? Fork. Oh, kid, you're trying to trick me, huh? Fork. Hugh. You have to take the space. You have to say it so that people don't think that you said the wrong thing. People don't think you said a bad word. It's the same type of principle with Glenn Youngkin's name, except it's actually completely different. I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe that doesn't. But Glenn Youngkin came out of left field. He came out of left field. He didn't start blowing up. We didn't really hear about him until all of the cover-up of Loudoun County, Virginia became exposed, until they pulled the Band-Aid off, ripped the scab off, and let the wound breathe. The left didn't want you to know what happened in Loudoun County, Virginia. They didn't want you to know. And if you don't know, we're going to talk about it in a couple minutes. I'm not going to go too crazy. We'll recap certain things and talk about others, but we've done previous episodes about this, and I'm sure we'll do more. But the big point, the big picture is that if we lose the election in Virginia, it'll further demoralize the right. You see, in any kind of conflict, when the crowd is on your side, when the momentum is on your tail, when the wind is beneath your wings, you soar, you fly, you excel, you win. But when you get beat and beat and beat and beat and beat, it's even harder to build that momentum back up. Now, if we destroy Terry McAuliffe, if the red, the right, the collective right, I'm not just talking Republicans, if conservatives come out, libertarians that are right wing come out, the libertarians that Joe lost, the minority group, everybody that hates Joe, if they come out, and that's a lot of people, if they come out and they say, let's go, Brandon, and they vote for Glenn Youngkin, we're going to know. We're going to know what 2022 is going to look like. We're going to know what 2024 is going to look like. All right? Plain and simple. But I have to say something. In all lightness, in all humor, I have to say something about Glenn Youngkin and how he looks. I have a comparison. I'm going to just take a sip of this water real quick, though. I don't know how many of you have kids. I have little girls. I have daughters. There's a movie that I've watched, a Pixar movie, a bunch called Zootopia. My youngest one, she loves Zootopia. And there's a character in Zootopia. He works at the DMV and he's a sloth. That's right. He's an animated sloth and his name is Flash 100-Yard Dash. That's right. He's a sloth. And Terry McAuliffe looks just like him. Not Terry McAuliffe, excuse me. Glenn Youngkin looks just like him. But Terry McAuliffe's no better. Terry McAuliffe looks like a shisty used car salesman, doesn't he? He looks like he's going to stand on a soapbox and go, come one, come all. Terry McAuliffe's here for Terry McAuliffe's wonderful aftershave elixir. Put it on your face, slap it on, have a swig. It gets you high. Terry McAuliffe for the Democrat Party. Vote blue and blow up the entire country with the rest of us. That he looks like. He's going to sell me something I don't need, and I'm going to be forced to buy it from him because he's so shisty. He looks, all right, get this. He looks like old Biff from Back to the Future 2. No? All right. How about he looks like an old man version of Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore on his happy merry way to take grandma's house. That's what he looks like. He doesn't look like a good guy. He doesn't, and he's not a good guy. He lies, he cheats, he steals, he works with the Lincoln Project. Those bums, those disgruntled, Trump-hating Republicans, those rhinos, they're not Republicans, they're fake. They're leftists, dressed, pretending to be Republicans. He worked with them, whether he says it or not, to grab these people, to take these folks and dress them in khakis, in white shirts, in tiki torches, all right, and pretend to be white supremacists supporting Glenn Youngkin, all right? And when they got caught, they weren't expecting to get caught. They were trying to use an old Democrat trick, bad publicity, and then the couple people that hear about it, it won't spread around. The damage will already be done. But the damage couldn't be done because parents are awake. People are awake in Virginia. Virginia's on fire, and everybody is red, awake, taking their daily dose of red pills and ready to destroy, absolutely destroy the left for hurting their children. But even in the face of this, these disgusting, traitorous rhinos, these fake Republicans, these folks that have joined and created this horrible, horrible Lincoln Project, they literally defended their decision to get these lefties, throw them in their khakis, give them their Home Depot tiki torches, and have them pretend. And they only defended it because they got caught. What else could they say? They just lied more. They got caught in a lie, and then they went, lie. They lied more. And it's politics. So they thought they would get away with it. But it looks now like Glenn Youngkin may benefit from it because everything's blowing up in Terry McAuliffe's face. Everything. All right. It's horrible. These dirty tactics, they backfired. All right. I want you to hear what they tried to say Glenn Youngkin needs to do to get them to stop harassing him with fake white racists. All right. Today's demonstration, this is from the Lincoln Project, was our way of reminding Virginians what happened in Charlottesville 4 years ago. The Republican Party's embrace of those values and Glenn Youngkin's failure to condemn it. See, they're trying everything in their power to get rid of Glenn, to destroy his credibility, but it's already too late. The people of this country have already grown sick and tired, and millions have woken up. All right. They're saying that if Glenn denounces Trump, saying that the Charlottesville rioters possessed very fine qualities, they'll withdraw the tiki torches. And until then, they'll be back. But that's the issue. It's BS. That was a chopped clip. Trump never said that. That's been debunked. It's been debunked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. There's just nothing left they can do. They're trying everything. They're pulling every rabbit out of their hat, but it doesn't work for a man with such a punchable face. And that's right. I'm sorry. Terry McAuliffe has a punchable face. I'm not telling you to go punch him in the face. I don't advocate violence. I might have said a whole thing earlier talking about some person that's hurting children. And I may have made a hypothetical situation about a bus and a decapitation and all, but it's all fake. It's all what's the word I'm looking for? It's all hypotheticals. It's all imaginary. It's all the emotions that you would feel if something like that was happening to your children. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. McAuliffe is a lying career politician. He's bought and paid for. He's a failed presidential candidate. He's been in politics for decades. And people don't want that. People don't want a shill for the corporations. They don't want a shill for big education, big tech, big media. And CRT wouldn't even be pushed if there wasn't money in it for big education, big tech, big media. McAuliffe stands for CRT. He says parents shouldn't have any say whatsoever in what their children in Virginia learn. He said, he literally said that. He literally said that parents shouldn't pick their kids' school books. He said parents shouldn't tell schools what to teach. He said Virginia has too many white teachers and they need to hire more people based solely upon the color of their skin. Folks, that is racism. That's racism. Critical race theory is racism. The left can pretend it doesn't exist all they want, but on day one, and he better live up to it because he needs to win on Tuesday. On day one, Glenn Youngkin says he'll ban critical race theory 100% from all schools in Virginia. As governor, he'll join Ron DeSantis in that fight. And unsurprisingly enough, Youngkin now leads 53 to 45. He went from being neck to neck in a tight race to being the man who's going to help begin the cleansing and saving of this country on Tuesday. We have to cleanse the wicked ideology from the country, the wokeness, the CRT, all of it. It needs to go bye-bye. Bye-bye. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Plain and simple. But where did it come from, right? Where did the discussion even start? I feel like Loudoun County is the place, right? Loudoun County is where it all began. And it's not so recent. We just started talking about it. People are hearing about it, right? People are thinking it's something new. But the stuff that started with Mr. Scott Smith and his daughter, that happened back in like June. The arrest, it happened back in June. It's crazy. Look, I want to tell you about this. This is something not a lot of people are hearing about. This says that scandal hit Loudoun County is rocked by another sexual assault case as police probe multiple incidents of a middle school boy groping other boys by touching them inappropriately over their clothing. Where, oh where, did a middle school student learn to do that? Where? All right. Loudoun County's crazy. Loudoun County has been falling apart. All right. There was one complaint about this boy on Wednesday, and now there's multiple complaints. By the end of the week, he had done it a bunch more times to a bunch more kids. And that's the recent news. But back in June, on June 22nd, at the school board meeting in Loudoun County, Scott Smith, the victim's father, I'm looking at his picture right here. I'm looking at it. And he's on the floor, shirt torn, beat up, gut out, bald guy, just like me, a dad just like me, a dad or a mom just like you. All he did was say, my daughter was raped. Why didn't you do anything about it? And his rights as a parent were abused. His rights as a parent were crapped on. Plain and simple. Scott Smith was dragged out of the school board meeting. He was arrested on June 22nd after hearing members of Loudoun County School Board claim that the sexual assault he was talking about, the rape of his daughter, there were no reports. It didn't happen. It was untrue. They covered it up, which of course sent him into a rage. He was convicted of disorderly conduct. He was booked and sent to jail. So this guy, this rapist, I'm sure you know by now, he went to jail. He was convicted. He hurt another girl too after this, by the way. He was convicted. So he's now a convicted rapist. All right. He's now a convicted rapist. He identified as gender fluid. And because of this identity, because he said he was gender fluid, he wore a skirt and he said that he felt like a woman. Gender fluid is kind of the same as gender neutral or whatever, where you kind of don't have a gender. I think gender neutral is when they consider themselves genderless, and gender fluid means I can be a man and now I'm a woman and now I'm a man again. I have a vagina. I have a penis. That's literally how insane this is. All right. But I want you to think about something for a second, something that no one else is talking about because maybe they think it takes away from the plight of the parents. I don't, because this girl was raped. And that's a terrible thing. And regardless of her prior history with this kid, she should never have been raped. Nothing should have ever happened to this woman. And something should have happened immediately to this kid before he had a chance to hurt someone else, which didn't happen. All right. But I want you to think about how messed up our kids are. This is a 15-year-old girl. All right. A 15-year-old girl. And she used to date this guy. All right. She used to date this guy, a a person that sometimes thinks he's a woman and sometimes thinks he's a man. Maybe he really believes it. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? I know we're all supposed to believe him. Are we supposed to believe him still after he raped a girl? Right? Is that something that the alphabet mafia allows? Can we be mad about that? Or should we hold protests to get him freed from jail too? Should we do a George Floyd thing for this kid? For this kid? Is this kid going to be the George Floyd? Well, maybe not the George Floyd. I don't know. Look, he's not a good dude, but this is what people, young people, are into. If you haven't been paying attention, every young person is a cis this or a gender neutral that or a pansexual this or a potsexual that or a plant sexual this or a tree, a dendrophilia. I don't know, but they're all something. No one's a man or a woman anymore. But you know what the truth is? The real truth? The truth is that everyone's either a man or a woman because that's science. That's how that works. And that story, my friends, that's literally that. That's what got you as a parent. That's what got you as a mom or you as a dad put on that FBI list. The Taliban, they're no longer terrorists. It's you and me. We're parents. We love our children. We want to homeschool them or put them in schools that don't teach critical race theory. Therefore, we must be up to no good. If we're not quietly conforming, we're obviously going against the grain, and dissenters must be silenced. They must be. And this isn't all. This isn't the only thing that's happening. It's not. It gets even worse. I want you to think about something. I want you to picture something. All right? Do you have a young kid? Do you have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old? Maybe you have adult kids that are now grown up and out there, but you remember back when they went to school. I want you to tell me something, whether you're black or white or anything, Asian, whatever you are, Latino, Latina, your daughter, your son comes home, whatever ethnicity they are, whatever culture they are, whatever background they are, and they ask you, let's say you have a black kid. Let's say you have a black daughter and your daughter comes home and she says, Daddy, Mommy, am I born evil because I'm black? That will be on front page news. Heads will roll. It would be the most racist story on the planet. But you're not hearing that. That's not happening. Nobody's talking about that because the headline actually reads this. Loudoun County mom says 6-year-old asked her if she was born evil because she's white. That's why you don't hear about it. That's why nothing happens, because she's white. When are we going to have that conversation? When are we going to have that conversation? Born evil because she's... What is wrong with these people? What is absolutely wrong with these people? How dare they? How could they say that? How could they say that to a kid? I don't understand. I don't think I'll ever understand how they could give that type of assignment. And that's what it was. This is early spring of 2020. All right. This is literally not new. It's now being brought to the spotlight, but these incidents have been happening for years. You have Terry McAuliffe up there saying that we're imagining things, but these have been happening for years. Years. She learned this in a history lesson at school. Is she evil because she's white? Is she evil because of something her suspected ancestors? You know, I've had people tell me that I'm evil because I'm white, because of slavery and colonists. I'm Jewish. My ancestors came here like 80 years ago. But, you know, I'm white. I'm evil. You know, the left, they hate Jews, too. I just want to remind you of that. Just want to remind you of the truth. But you know what happens when we tell the truth? You know what happens when students come out and support the victim and hold walkouts in class and express that they don't want to learn critical race theory, and parents stand up for their kids because they happen to hear what was happening in school, because they happened to see what was going on. A lot of people got exposed with this online school during the COVID lockdowns, and people got to see what their parents were teaching. Double-edged sword, Fauci, double-edged sword. School system, stay closed, reap the benefit, or reap the consequences, the benefits. Listen, the left, do you know what they do? Do you know what they do? CNN, do you know what they do? They find this and they try to spin it. They try to twist it. They try to convince the small population of old people that are still watching CNN that none of this is happening, that in fact it's the Trump supporters, that parents are evil and their own kids are against what they're doing. CNN has an article right here that twists this whole story. A girl was raped. Little confused boys are touching people. The whole system is falling apart. All of it. It's all falling apart. And yet we're the bad guys. They're teaching our kids to hate us. They're teaching our kids to be confused. They're teaching our kids that the evils of Sodom and Gomorrah are upon us, and they are good. They are godly because God isn't real. Well, I'm here to tell you that God is real. God is real, and these folks will be judged, but that's not our job. Our job is to talk about it. God's job is to judge. Our job is to expose the truth. And the truth is that CNN is claiming that students are mad at parents, and that is a lie. It even says it in here. All right, it says the behavior of the adults on this night, and they're talking about the night of the school board meetings and the protests and all the different things by parents. For many months, and they have to mention this is CNN, in the majority white community. This is so that the upper middle class, well-off folks that live in these blue areas who've been fed white guilt their whole life feel guilty about their supposed privilege. See, only a certain amount of people actually have privilege, a small amount, and they've been convinced that everybody of their skin color shares it. That's how dumb these people are. That's how unenlightened the enlightened among us are. All right. A community of 50,000 white people in Lake Tahoe. It's been astonishing to watch, says Jacob Lewis, 16. When did the opinions of a 16-year-old ever mean anything? They don't. They never did. All right. You have opinions. You're 16. You haven't seen anything. You're a high school kid. What do you know of this world? What do you know of responsibility? What do you know of pain? What do you know of real, raw, human emotion and loss? You know nothing. And yet CNN uses this 16-year-old, this boy, these kids that know nothing. They use them like prostitutes to lie and twist the truth. Twist the truth. This 16-year-old, some other 17-year-old, a few other people, they said, I think that sometimes people misinterpret the discussion of racial issues to be critical race theory. Discussion of racial issues, that's not critical race theory. Remember, the students, a bunch of students, walked out of class and staged a protest in support of Scott Smith's raped daughter. Plain and simple. So again, look at me in the eyes. Listen to me. Hear my voice. Tell me, if your daughter was raped, would you have been arrested at that school board meeting back in June 22nd? Would you have done worse? Would you have done less? What would you have done? What would you have done? You know, teaching this woke alphabet mafia garbage to our kids, it's literal child abuse. It's child abuse. It's creating this pandemic of false transgenderism, of these false sexual identities, of these false narratives, these false genders. It's lies. It's false. There are males. There are females. You have a penis, you're a guy. You have a vagina, you're a woman. All right? If we're friends and we're in some kind of function and you happen to know me, if I knew you for 30 years and you decided to chop your stuff off, you know, I got a really good friend named Drew. Love him to death. Great family, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person, man of God, hardest worker I know. I've known him for 30 years. That's 30 years. If he chopped his thing off and he started calling himself Christina, and he asked me if I could call him Christina so I wouldn't embarrass him in public, I'd call him Christina because he's my brother and I love him. But he'd still be my brother because he's a dude that cut his junk off. Plain and simple. That's what it is. I'm sorry. And I have to be honest, if you're super, look, I'm a conservative. I believe in God. I pray. But at the same time, I love my best friends. I love my family, right? I want to do the right thing by people. I want to be a good person, but there are just some things I can't accept. All right. I can't lie about actual scientific fact. Social media, cell phones, all of the culture that's happening, this woke neo-Marxist ideology, the CRT, all of it, everything, all together. It's infecting our society. It's poisoning our children. It's poisoning our systems, everything. For the love of God, kid, you can't always have it your way. This isn't Burger King. It's not Burger King. Critical race theory, woke ideologies, they're cancer. They're cancer. Plain and simple. They're cancer. They're just different types of cancer. They're both aggressive, horrible cancer that you die from. Like one's colon cancer, right? I would say that critical race theory is like colon cancer, right? And then what's the other one that takes you out real fast? Is that pancreatic? Pancreatic's usually pretty bad. You get diagnosed, you're done like 4 weeks later. It's a horrible, horrible disease. We should be looking for cures for that. It's the cures for the common cold. But anyway, woke ideologies like pancreatic cancer, colon cancers like CRT, they're both still cancer. They're just going to kill you through a different means, through a different entry point. One's coming up where the sun don't shine, and one's coming from your pancreas. And that's the same with CRT. That's the same with woke ideologies. All right? It's creating weak people. It's creating feminine men. Like Jen Psaki's husband, Greggy. Listen. It's the truth. It's the truth. I don't think he can grow up. I can't get off it. I can't. He literally looks like, what's the kid? Do you remember King of the Hill? Like Hank Hill? He had the son, Bobby. His son, Bobby. I'm Hank Hill, Propane Accessories. I haven't watched that show in years, so I don't remember how to do the accent, all right? My buddy Adam would be so happy that I'm doing a King of the Hill reference. I hope he hears this. But Bobby, all grown up, no beard, can't grow a beard, kind of feminine, kind of unsure of himself, doesn't know what to do with his life. Yeah, that's Greggy boy. Greggy, all part of this. Glenn, for the love of all that is holy, please do everything in your power. I pray, amen, I pray, win Virginia, build the motivation, bring the fire, and help us win back this country in 2022, because we need a deep red, white, and blue Virginia. 100%, folks, a red, white, and blue Virginia. All right? But you're not going to get that up here where I am. You're not.